So this is the KILO board. It's awesome. It's super lightweight, super nimble. It happens to be one of the office favorites, especially because it uses wax. It feels different because there's a ton more traction. So when you move your feet, the board follows. On a trackpad, sometimes there's some slippage that occurs when you're moving around, and you just don't find that on a wax board if it's waxed properly. The wax really drops a ton of weight out of the board. The trackpads usually add about a pound plus or minus depending on the size. So dropping that weight out of the board allows you to go for bigger airs and gives you a lot more control in the water. The board comes with no trackpad or wax applied to it, but we do give you a kit. And what's included in the kit is a base coat wax here. This is a harder wax that goes on first, and then there's a top coat, which is a tropical. We've picked a wax for you that we feel like is an awesome option out there. We decided not to reinvent the wheel because Sticky Bubs makes such a great product and has been doing it for so many years. So the base coat goes on first, and then the top coat goes on second. We chose a tropical top coat because lake water tends to be warm, so going with a warmer wax keeps the melting point higher so that it doesn't drip all over the board, the boat, or the board, or anything like that. Wax can be messy sometimes, but it's super easy to maintain. If you take the board straight out of the water, put it in a board sock, keep it out of the sun and the heat, you'll be in great shape. All right, so we're gonna go through waxing. So the first thing you do is grab the base coat. You're gonna apply it in a crosshatch pattern, exactly where your feet are gonna go. So on this particular board, I'm gonna go all the way back here to the rear fin to somewhere in the nose section here. You can always add more wax if you want to, but that's a good place to start. So I recommend kind of taking it, drawing a diagonal line across here. You want to space the lines about 1 to 2 inches apart. You're going to do that all the way across the board. This is what defines the number of bumps and kind of the amount of bumps that occur on the board surface. Notice I'm using the edge here. So this is the kind of the defining starting point for the base layer. Doesn't need to be perfect. So now that I did the diagonals in both directions, I'm gonna go take the longer edge and pull straight across the board. So I'm gonna do horizontally first, and then I'm gonna do vertically second. I'm giving medium pressure. You wanna make sure that you're laying down wax in a pretty consistent fashion. You don't need to push super hard. Sometimes I'll put a little arc here towards the top. Look a little fancy. Now I'm gonna pull down here. You want to make sure that you get somewhat close to the rail so that if your toes or feet end up there, you don't slip off the edge. All right, so that defines your base layer. So I did a cross-hatching pattern in both directions, and then I applied it with the long edge horizontally, and then I applied it vertically in the full section where you want to stand. So now we're going to move on to the top coat. We again went with the tropical. You're going to do a horizontal pattern first, and then you're gonna move over to a vertical pattern. So start at the bottom, pull straight across. Yeah, there's no crosshatch required with the top coat. You can see it's really starting to build in between the crosshatch pattern. I'm gonna do that until I get a nice build-up going. It's still a little bit on the light side, so just keep working it with that straight edge. Back and forth until you get a nice build. You can see on this board how tall the bumps are. I don't know if you see that detail, but you want a really nice build up there. That's what gives you that traction. So you want to do this, I would say at least every season. You should probably strip it off. You can get like a credit card or a wax comb, remove the wax, put the board in the sun, scrape all the wax off, and then reapply. That just helps give you better traction. Yeah, I think this is the way to go. I mean, it's definitely worth the work and a little bit of maintenance and care that you have to put into it, but it's just gonna be a way better experience for you out there on the water.